Fear is an emotion induced by a perceived threat. It's a basic survival mechanism occurring in response to specific stimuli such as pain or the threat of danger. It's the body's way of telling you that something is dangerous and that you may be harmed. But in parkour, sometimes it just gets in the way. Everybody says that parkour is 50% physical and 50% mental, but where does that mental side come in? The mental side normally stems from fear. If you've ever trained parkour, you've experienced the fear that I'm talking about. Of course, we've all experienced fear in our everyday lives, but this is somehow different. A weird kind of fear when you're standing on the edge of a building, looking at a gap that you want to make, and you're just paralyzed with fear. You might not be afraid of heights, but still, while you're standing there, you just can't get yourself to go. Why is this? Is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Well, it's kind of both, and here's why. Like I mentioned earlier, fear is important because it tells you when there's danger. It tells you what not to do, what to avoid, because you don't want to get hurt. At the end of the day, our instinct just wants us to preserve our life, which makes a lot of sense. In this way, fear is a very good thing because it will stop us from doing some things that we're not ready for. Sometimes you're just not ready for a move. And if you go to do it, you're just not going to make it. And fear is there to let you know that you're not going to be able to make the move. This is where it gets complicated. It doesn't always happen like that. Though that is true in some cases, not always are you not capable of doing something that your fear is telling you not to do. Sometimes you're just scared of it because you're scared, because it looks scary, because you're not sure if you can make it. But sometimes you have to do it anyway. Every person you'll ever meet in your entire life will probably tell you the same thing about fear. The only way to overcome it is to face it, but you have to be smart about it. You have to use your brain when you're facing your fear. Don't just go out there and do a move because you're afraid to do it. Let's say you're in the beginning of your parkour life, not very far into it, when you're still really scared of a lot of things, but you're also really excited. You don't know if you can make a front flip or not. You don't know. Should you go out and do it just because you're afraid of it and you think you need to face this fear? Probably not. What you should do is progression up to it. Learn to do different jumps, learn how to set correctly before you actually go and do it. Don't just blindly do something to face the fear and try and get over it and move on quicker. That's how people get hurt. You have to be smart. So we know we have to face our fears to progress, but there's another type of fear I want to talk about. A fear of something that you've already done. This fear of doing a move that we've already done before can be extremely annoying. Say a move that you've done 1,000,000 times, but you're still afraid of it, and it happens to everyone, don't be ashamed to admit it. But at the end of the day, this is a good thing. It's good because it keeps you grounded. It keeps you from getting too cocky with a certain movement. Is it good to get really good at your moves and get really good control? Yes. Can you get cocky with some of your moves? Sure, why not, if you're good enough. But fear is very important because it's going to keep you in your right mind while you're doing the move. It's going to keep you thinking it all through every time you do it, so you don't just randomly throw something and not think it all through and then not make it. Fear is what's going to help you get around every single time. It's what's going to make you try harder and train harder so that you'll overcome that fear. Honestly, it's one of the most important things in parkour, and it's very important to be afraid. The last type of fear I want to talk about in this video is the fear of something you've messed up. Something that you've done 1,000,000 times, you overcame the fear of it, and then you messed it up really bad, and now you're afraid to go out there and do it again. Something just holds you back. Say you are, like I said, a beginner, and you're going to do your front flip. You started to get it, but then you mess it up. You hit your head or you're back on the ground somehow. It just scares you. The next time you go to do it, you're just paralyzed. You'll run up, do your set, but you'll never actually rotate because you're afraid. But how do you overcome this? How do you fight this? Well, there's a couple of different ways and a couple of different theories that me and my group have found and come up with to fight this type of fear, which can be one of the most annoying types of fear there is. Basically, from what I've seen, you've got two choices. Either one, you do the move right away. You don't wait. You get up. We're going to use the front flip as an example again. You mess up your front flip, you get up and you go and you do it again right away. Now, obviously, you take a second to get in your right mind, but at that point you're a little bit scared of it, but you're not to that point where you've built it up in your head to be some huge thing. So you do it right then, and if you make it and you land it, boom, the fear's been conquered and you're good to keep trying. Now, if you don't get up and do it right away, the other option is the only option you have, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna stand there and you're gonna stare at it, you're gonna think about the move, you're gonna think about how you messed it up, and it's gonna get to you. It's gonna get in your head and it's gonna really bother you, and it's just gonna keep you from doing it. Like I was talking about before, you have to do it right away or else that fear gets to you and then you're not gonna be able to do it. So the only way to combat that is the long-term way. You have to normally redo your progression, and it'll normally take a couple days at least in order for you to really be comfortable with trying it again, because you've scared yourself so much. And normally by the time you do it again, you'll probably want to do it in a different spot, because sometimes just a spot can hold fear for you. But it's very important to eventually come back to that spot where you first messed it up and do it again. Once you've got it somewhere else, go back to that spot where you messed it up and do that front flip, because it will show you that you've progressed and you shouldn't be afraid of this because you've beaten it. You beat it where you messed up. That's very important. Like I said, parkour is 50% physical, 50% mental, and you have to focus on that mental side or you'll never get anywhere. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all learned a little something about fear, and I hope now you know how to face your fear a little bit better and know that it's not all a bad thing. Fear is good. Without fear, we would never progress the way we do. We would never ever get as good as we have. So at the end of the day, next time you're scared of something, think of it as a blessing. And I hope you guys have a good one. Keep training.